Daniel chapter number 4, verses number 4 through 9. I, Nebuchadnezzar, was at rest in my house and flourishing in my palace. I saw a dream which made me afraid, and the thoughts upon my bed and the visions of my head troubled me. Therefore made I a decree to bring in all the wise men of Babylon before me, that they might make known unto me the interpretation of the dream. Then came the magicians, the astrologers, the Chaldeans, and the soothsayers, and I told the dream before them. But they did not make known unto me the interpretation thereof. But at the last Daniel came in before me, whose name was Belteshazzar, according to the name of my God, and in whom is the spirit of the holy gods. And before him I told the dream, saying, O Belteshazzar, master of the magicians, because I know that the spirit of the holy gods is in thee, and no secret troubleth thee. Tell me the visions of my dream that I have seen, and the interpretation thereof. The third chapter of the book of Ecclesiastes starts out with there's a time and season for all things. And then it goes and give what has been and what will be and what will be and has been. It says it's a time for this and a time for that. And then it goes on, there is no new thing under the sun. Chapter number 4, verse number 4 takes us right back to chapter number 2 of the book of Daniel, where we are introduced with the king of Babylon once again having a dream that's troubling him. And it just wasn't a dream. We can see in verse number 5, he said he had a dream, and this dream made him afraid, but he goes on from there. And the thoughts, plural, upon my bed, and the visions on top of thoughts, on top of dreams of my head troubled me. Nightmares. This thing was getting his attention, and the king could not get any rest. You know, it was one of those things where the king's substance just really didn't matter. His wealth didn't matter. Nothing mattered. Let's go and take a look. Ancient Babylon the Great. We can see it actually sat on the Euphrates rivers. One side was on one bank of the Euphrates River, the other side was on the other. Right down here, about 59 miles from what we know as Iraq today, in the Fertile Crescent, not that far from the Tigris River as well. Just to try to give you a perspective of Babylon. Babylon was founded by Nimrod, 2 generations after the flood itself. The scriptures tells us Nimrod became a great hunter before the Lord, almost as to say instead of the Lord, or without the Lord, his own might, his own power. And we can see that the city that Nebuchadnezzar had made was stunning. We can see miles long, a moat around the city. We can see walls around the city. We can see an outer perimeter around the city as well. We can see this aerial view, the Hanging Gardens. Most magnificent city. Here's our artist's conception of the Hanging Gardens, one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world, just pure stunning to behold. Absolutely And we can see some of the reconstructed walls in modern museums today of ancient Babylon. And we can see this is just gorgeous. Do you consider they had this kind of beauty thousands of years ago? So for Nebuchadnezzar to walk around and to be in his palace and looking around, seeing such beauty that no other city before him has ever had, gold masts, no other city had before him, Nebuchadnezzar undoubtedly felt prideful. Here's a closer view of the city. Like I said, you can see this was just stunning for a city literally thousands of years ago. Just breathtaking, just purely breathtaking. Just to try to give us some type of vision or scope at what the king had saw. But in all of this, God was troubling him. You see, sometimes things happen and your resources just aren't good enough. You see, all the king money and all the king wealth couldn't give him the peace. And notice, once the king received the interpretation of the vision, it ceased to trouble him, which was a confirmation that the interpretation and the dream was from God. You can see if the interpretation came and the king had the same dream troubling him the same night after night after night, then the king would say this interpretation wasn't accurate. God, we bless you and we give you glory and we give you honor. Thank you.